So hello, lovely, lovely people. So great to see you all coming in. I am going to get my notes and I'm going to move out of the way so you can see my little, my things. And we are going to get started. So I'm looking all over the place, but that's because I have all my notes and stuff because, you know, I need my notes. Otherwise, I will go down a rabbit hole. We don't want that, do we? No, we don't. So I can see you dropping in. It's so good to see you guys. Here we are. Fantastic. So today, my friends, we are going to talk about how to fail forward. That's what we're going to do because that's fun. Failing forward. And I used to be so afraid of failing, you wouldn't even understand how scared I was. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get started. So, like I said, today we're going to talk about failing forward. That's what we're going to talk about. But before we start, I want to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Anna Wallner. I primarily coach Swedish women. I help them to reach their visions through brain management, basically. It sounds so coachy, but what I do is that I teach women how to control what they think and feel so they can produce the feelings they want and actually use them as fuel and create whatever they want. It's the most amazing job ever. And I'm also the host for the Life Coach podcast, but it's in Swedish. So it's called Life Coach Podden med Anna Wallner. So it's no point that you listen to my podcast if you don't know Swedish. If you know Swedish, it's the best podcast ever, I'm sure. And I run sessions here about twice a month. But now I must admit that I don't think I have another talk scheduled before summer because I'm going to focus a little bit on my Swedish crowd. So we'll see. I will definitely be back, but I can't give you a date that I have right now when I'm going to talk the next time. So for you guys and girls and everyone who's new here, this is a pay it forward platform. So you are now at the Life Coach University, and pay it forward means that we just want to spread this to as many possible individuals we can. We want to change people's lives, and me and my colleagues, we do this for free because we have so many tools that we want to get in your hands and we just can't reach you all. So the only thing that we would like to ask in return now when you listen to this is that you pay it forward in any shape or form that you would like. Pay someone a compliment. I don't know. Tell them about the Life Coach University. I would say that's probably the most classic one, but you can choose whatever you want. And with that said, I also want to give you a little tip because tomorrow we have two really good other PIF talks. We call them PIF talks, pay it forward talks. And the first one is 5 a.m. Eastern time. Everything is Eastern time, even though I'm in Sweden, and 5 a.m. Eastern time, we have Youre. I don't really know how to pronounce her last name, Youre. And she's going to talk about spinning straw into gold. I don't know exactly what she's going to talk about, but she's absolutely fantastic. So you don't want to miss that. And then at 9 a.m. Eastern, we have Norma Fran, and she's going to talk about how to lose weight your way. And it's Norma's first PIF talk, and she is amazing. You don't want to miss Norma. She is the most amazing coach ever, and Youre is too. So you don't want to miss that either. So I highly recommend that you go up on lifecoachuniversity.com, and if you scroll down, you'll see all the PIF talks that you can book. So go there, browse around, look at what sort of tickles your fancy, and make sure that you book the ones that you want. I'm very sorry that these ring lights are in my face. I'm sorry about that, but it's nothing really I can do about it. So anyhow, that was everything that I wanted to tell you about the Life Coach University and what's happening and all of the things. So this is how we're going to do it today. So I am going to talk about today's topic for about 30 minutes, and then I will answer your questions if you have any questions. So if you come to think about anything while I'm talking, you can write your questions straight into the Q&A box. You will find all the Zoom details down at the bottom of your screen. And you can find the Q&A, write your question there, and it will be absolutely fantastic. And I'll answer them in the end. And we will stop maximum at the top of the hour. So I will leave you in, I don't know, now we're 6 minutes in. So, okay. I hope that sort of settles everything, that you know where you are and all of the things. So what we're going to talk about today is failing forward, and actually how to do it. Because when I talk about failing forward, people go like, what? Some people, of course, know exactly what I talk about, but a lot of people go like, failing forward, what is that? So I want to talk about what it actually is, and then I want to talk about how you actually do it. How do you fail forward? Because I'm all about like the tools that I can get into your hands so you can actually do this yourselves. So that's what I want to do. So when it comes to failing, let's talk about failing first. So we are all, I would say basically all, most of us are deeply socialized that failing is something bad. And we hear it from parents, we hear it from teachers, we see it in all the examples around us. And it's not like our parents and teachers are bad when they do this, it's just like the society works. I mean, if you look at school and when you grow up and you got the grades, depending on where you live, you got numerical grades or the letter grades or whatever. And if you got a good grade, your parents were very happy and gave you praise, right? And if you didn't get a good grade, you got very concerned parents, right? So we've been sort of introduced into this mental state of failing being something bad. So what happens when we fail then? So if we perceive that we've failed, then we think we must have done something wrong, or even that there's something wrong with us personally. And this is so, I don't know, it's so how do you say it? Counterintuitive. And it's not really productive. It doesn't help us, because when we do something and we think that we've done it wrong, or that it's something wrong with us, it will hold us back. And the reason why it holds us back is because when we think we've failed, or we think it's our fault, or we haven't worked hard enough, or we haven't trained hard enough, we haven't studied hard enough, or whatever it is, we feel like we've failed and we feel like a failure. And to a lot of people, that is like one of the worst feelings, one of the worst. So since we talked about in the beginning, I mentioned that I work with women and I want them to learn how to control their feelings and feel their feelings, because feelings is what fuels everything we do. So when we feel this horrible feeling of failure, we don't want to do it, right? Because we have been conditioned, in our brains have been conditioned not to fail. We don't want to fail because of this horrible feeling. Because when our brain says, okay, if you fail, that equals that you will feel this horrible feeling, we don't want to do it, right? So what happens then? Me and my wonderful slides, right? So we feel afraid that even if we haven't failed, we're like, just the thought about failing scares the crap out of many people. And when we feel really scared about failing, what do we do? Well, I would say we definitely don't put ourselves out there in the way we could. And we fail ahead of time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about these things, not just going through them, but that's what we do. And we don't test everything we could either, because we hold ourselves back. And then we waste a lot of time. And the reason why we waste all this time is because we don't want to fail. So we prepare and we plan in complete excess, especially if you are a little bit perfectionistic in your tendencies. And so all these things, I mean, when we look at them, you can really see that this is holding us back. If we didn't do all of these things, things would move on so much more quickly. So what I mean about these is that when we're scared about failing, then we don't put ourselves out there. We don't show our true selves. We don't try things. We don't sort of let our body of work, or whatever it can be, out into the world, because we think it won't be good enough, or we're afraid that it won't sort of set up to standards and we will fail. So that's one of the things. And then one thing that when we think that this won't be good enough, there is no point, then we just don't do it at all. And one of our, I say our because me and my coach colleagues, we have a mentor called Jody Moore, and she has this example in one of her podcasts about her son. He wanted to try out for a football team, and he was like, no, but it doesn't matter because I won't make it anyway. I'm not good enough. And she's like, okay, so you're just going to decide to fail ahead of time? Because when you don't even try, there is not even the slightest chance that you will make it, right? So when we're afraid of failing, when we say that if I fail, that means something about me and what I tried to do, then we don't want to do it. And then we fail 100%. Because of course, when he thought like that, he definitely didn't make the team, right? And this is so common. We see it over and over and over again. And also, when we think about failing, it keeps us from trying things. It keeps us from testing everything we can. Because we're like, and it's a little bit of the combination with failing forward. It's like, probably it won't work. It's no point. What if it doesn't work? Then I will feel stupid and all of the things. So we don't try. We don't try, we don't explore all the things that could actually work because we think that they probably won't anyway. And also this, can you see that I actually wrote, I wrote waste as in your waist because I'm a terrible speller. So that's why, but it's supposed to say waste, we waste time. And this is one of the things, we waste so much time. If you have these perfectionistic tendencies, we try to make it perfect. And we spend so much time like fixing and waddling around and doing all the things. And it's probably good. It's probably good enough, but we just waste all this time because we want to make it perfect. And that just is not serving us. And I actually have an example of a combination of these things from my own life, because when I was, I don't know, 17, 16, something around there, I was very much into horseback riding and dressage and also a bit of jumping. And we had like competitions within our club, and I would only participate in like lower class, they're called classes, like the different dressage and jump classes. I would only participate in the lower classes, so I would be sure that I would, even if I didn't win, I did at least come in the top 3. So I never pushed myself when it came to that. And now when I've learned all of these tools, I just look back and I can see that that was exactly what I was doing. I was so afraid of losing or not winning, more like, so I didn't even try. And just imagine how it would have been if I would have been okay with failing and even saw it as something good. I would have pushed myself so much. I would have competed in the higher classes probably before I was ready, just to learn, to get the experience, to evaluate and all of the things. So that is so fascinating to me now when I think about what I used to be like, because what our lizard brain is trying to do is just keep us safe, right? And failing, it has convinced us that failing isn't safe. And it wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us in the cave instead of out in the world. And that's for sure what my brain did when it comes to the horse example. It just kept me safe in the cave. It was like, no, no, no. Don't go out there and compete in these really high and advanced classes because you might fail. Okay, so the freaking what? It's a dressage class. I mean, maybe I could learn something, right? But no, no, no. I was so obsessed with being good and being a success. And I completely missed the point, because what is the point of winning a class that is lower than what you're actually doing right now? I mean, that's not a challenge. Absolutely not. So yeah, it's just fascinating. It just gets me every time I start thinking about it now. So the question I think we should ask ourselves is that, what do we want most? Do we want to create change? Do we want to create that vision that we're longing for, or that dream? Or do we want to stay safe and not experience the feeling of failure? What is more important? And the interesting thing, I would say, is that in this case, we can actually have both, which is so good. Because if we change how we think about things, how we think about failure, then we won't feel like we're failing. Because if we change our thinking about failure and we don't think we're failing, then we won't have the attached feeling of being a failure. It's so good. It's a win-win, right? So my question, or not my question, my suggestion, I would say, is that we just change how we think about failure, right? Failure is good. Failure is something we love, right? And if you would have told me this like 5 years ago, I would have been like, what the freaking feathers are you talking about? It would have sounded like such crazy pant to me to say that failure was something good. But it is so good, because when we start to look at failure as something good, it starts to move us forward, and in so quickly compared to before. And it makes us learn, and it takes all the drama out of the action, which is one of my favorite things. I'm going to get back to these, of course, as I did with the other ones. And it also makes us focus forward, which is also so much more fun. And talking about fun, so if we have a vision or a dream and we're getting there, if we start thinking about failure as something good and necessary, then it becomes so much more fun to create this vision. Because as we also talked about, I'm going to get back to it, it takes all the drama out of the action, and it's so good. So let's just go through them one by one. So it keeps us moving forward. You know, before we were talking about like staying in the cave and staying safe because we didn't want to experience this feeling of failure. But if we don't think about it as failure, if we just go like, no, let's try this and this and this and this, we will just take the next step after the next step after the next step, and it will propel us forward so quick. And I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience. It's a game changer. It's so good. And also, when we do this, when we start to look at failure as something good, when we've failed, I mean, it's very subjective what's a fail and what's not a fail. But for you, so what's a fail for you? When you consider yourself having failed, you can look at it and you can evaluate and you can think like, okay, so what part of these things actually did work? Because there's always something that does work, even though the result might not be exactly what you wanted. So what worked, what didn't work? Because obviously there were some things that didn't work. And then how can you do it differently? Of course. So when we fail, we have something to evaluate and learn from. And it's just, and also when we talk about that, it takes all the drama out of the action, because the reason why we don't want to take action is because we feel like we're going to fail. So when we take the failing out of the equation and just go like, yeah, I might fail, but that's okay, there is no drama left. It's not like, oh, what if, and and all sort of the catastrophizing, all of that disappears when you're okay with failing. If you see failure as something positive and something good, there's no drama, which is so liberating. And also, when we start to focus or take out the failing out of the picture, it makes us able to sort of look up a little bit and focus on what we actually want to do. Where are we going? okay, so we failed a couple of times, 3 times, 50 times, 100 times. It doesn't matter. We're on our way over there. That's where we're going. So it's much easier to focus on where we're going instead of like the nitty gritty and the pothole we're in right now. And that's also so good. And then last but not least, everything more fun when we sort of take the drama out of the failing and we start to look at it as something absolutely fantastic. It's just so much more fun when we're like, okay, I failed. What can I do now? That might succeed. And yeah, so I just want to recommend it so much. So what we actually need to do then is to retrain our brains, because we talked about that we've been socialized into thinking that failure is something bad. So our brains go like, whoop, whoop, whoop. No, 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 we don't want to do that. So what we want to do is retrain our brains that failure is something good. And when I just want to say that it's much quicker to retrain your brain than just slowly socializing it since you were a child, because when you do it on purpose, it goes so much quicker. So I really want you to do that, like reprogram your brain. It's the best ever, I promise. Get a coach, reprogram your brain. And when it comes to failure, one of the thoughts that I've used so much when it comes to that is that, okay, as long as I haven't given up, I haven't failed. So that was like my go-to, and it's still my go-to when my brain goes like, oh no, this is not very good. Then I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter. It's completely safe, because as long as I haven't given up, I haven't failed. And that has taken a lot of drama out of my equation anyway. So you feel free to borrow it if you want. And I also want to share another one that I thought was so good, that I think it was one of my colleagues, but I can't really remember who. So someone else, I don't know who it was, I don't want to take credit, but they said, there is no failing, there is only learning. And I think that was so good. So now we are going to go into the steps, because we love the steps, right? Here are the steps. So number 1, change how you think about failing, right? How you think about failure. That's the first thing. And I must say that depending on, it can be pretty easy. It can also be pretty difficult for some people, depending on. But for me, even though my lizard brain sort of all of the time, it's sort of gone like, oh, you failed, that wasn't good enough. I had this really good reply that as long as I haven't given up, I haven't failed. So every time my brain told me I was about to fail, or I had failed, or it wasn't good enough, I still take that thought and go like, yeah, brain, but as long as I haven't given up, I haven't failed. So intellectually, that has helped me so much to just think that. And then also really sort of in my core, adapt this belief that no, failing it's not comfortable all the time. I'm not saying that it is, but you can always see that there is a benefit, because the opposite is sitting in the cave. You don't want to do that because then nothing happens. So what you want to do is strive forward. And the only way to do this is figuring out new things all of the time. And so that brings us to the next step, number 2. And this I got from my teacher, Brooke Castillo. She has something she calls the 25 fails a quarter. So she made us write, and I have adopted this, I do it still, 25 fails that we can do per the next 90 days that would bring us forward. So like, okay, so where am I going? Okay, I have this goal, or I have this vision. Okay, so you brainstorm 25 things that you can do that would move you, or at least possibly move you closer to your vision. And then you go do them. And I must say personally, the hardest thing for me is always to come up with the 25 things. And in the beginning, it was like, is this a big enough failure? Or is this a too big of a failure, or like a too big of a task to try? Should I split it up in several? So my brain was all tangled up in that. It doesn't matter. Now I'm into it quite a lot. So, and I've done my lists for a long time. So I just want to say, just start. It doesn't matter. Just write your list, 25 things of what you can try, and just go and do them in the next 90 days. Because when you do that, you will realize that it's okay to fail. So when you fail, you will remind yourself that, okay, this wasn't too bad. Let's try the next thing. And you will also see that when you try all of this, you do get closer very quickly. And you also get the evidence that you try everything you can. Like, okay, now the perfectionist sort of ticks in and goes like, yeah, but maybe you could have done an even better list that would have taken you forward even quicker. Don't worry about that if you have a brain like mine that tells you that, because what you can do is just come up with new 25 things for the next 90-day period. So don't worry, just take 25 and just do them. Because when you do that, you will learn so much. And you will also realize after a while that this is the path. This is the path to where you want to go. You just need to continue and continue and continue and continue and continue. And it's so much fun. And after a while, I must say that after a while, it's sort of some of the things you do, you just go like, huh, that's interesting. I didn't think that would happen. Because you get, I would say that when you start out in the beginning, you're a little bit careful and a little bit safe with what you try. And when you get more and more comfortable with failing, then you will go like, okay, this isn't too bad. Let's try this crazy idea. I have no idea right now that I can have as an example, but like, okay, maybe I can do this thing. And I know someone told me that they got an exercise to ask 5 people a day for like $10, if they could just give them $10 to sort of bring up all the emotions of like, I don't know, shame and uncomfortable and all of the things. So when you realize that there is no danger in doing crazy stuff like that, then you'll just go like, yeah, okay, I'll do that and see if it works. And maybe it does, or maybe it doesn't. But that brings us to the last one, which is review, like I mentioned in the beginning. When you've failed, or if you succeeded, because you will succeed as well. Some of these 25 fails, you will actually succeed, I promise, which is so much fun. But that's not the point. The point is to try as many things as you possibly can. And when you've tried something and you failed or you succeeded, it's really important that you actually review it and see like, okay, what worked, what didn't work, and how can I do it differently? So good. And then you just repeat it. And then the next quarter, you do it all again. So imagine if you would do this every quarter. If you would do 25 fails every quarter, can you imagine how quickly you would move forward? you would, during a year, you would do 100 fails, and probably a lot of them will actually work better than you ever expected. So just imagine, I mean, either you will sit in your cave and go like, no, it's dangerous out there. We don't want to go there. It's scary and we might fail, and nothing much happens there, right? So the only other alternative is to get a grip of your fear of failing and turn it into something fun. Like, it's fun to fail because it moves you forward and you can review, and it's so good. So yeah, you will learn so much when you start moving forward and failing, so you won't even recognize yourself, I promise. So when you change how you think about failure, I would say that you remove one of the biggest internal blocks that is holding you back from creating what it is you want, actually. And I talk about it from personal experience. It's changed my life. And this failing forward is something I learned from my teacher, Brooke Castillo, that has this concrete 25 fails a month. So I want to give all the credit to her. It's changed my life, and now it's changing my clients' lives, and it's just such a concrete thing to do. And that's why I wanted to give it to you guys, so you can actually do it too. So yeah, just go, what is it they say in Star Trek? Go prosper, right? That's what they say, I think. So my dears, that's actually what I had for you. So I'm gonna see if you, I'm gonna put my glasses back on so I can see something. Do you have any questions for me? Where is that? Sorry. I'm gonna pull up the Q&A. Sorry about my coughing. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. First question from Anonymous. So I'm just supposed to fail just for the sake of failing? No, you're not failing just for the sake of failing. You're failing so you can reprogram your brain and show it that it isn't dangerous to fail. That's why you're doing it. And many of these things that you are going to brainstorm, they will be things, like I said, that you will actually succeed at. So it's not like you're just going to sort of make up things that you can fail at. That's not the thing. That's not what you're doing. You're actually thinking about things that would possibly bring you forward. There's no point of doing things that you don't think will bring you forward. That's no point. So just think about where you're going, write down your vision, and think about 25 things you can do the next 90 days to actually get there. And then you do it. And then when you feel like a failure, you just tell yourself like, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. And you just feel all the feelings and it's going to go smashing. So I hope that answered your question. Another Anonymous asks, what are your 25 fails right now? Yeah, I don't have the list here, but I can say that currently I'm working on it's like a rebranding. I'm doing like new colors, and you might think that that isn't a fail, but for me, I've always been very sort of impulsive with things, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. So sort of when I come to think about something, it takes often a very short time for me to implement things. So that is quite a challenge for me, actually, to think about what I want to do, because the danger, my fail in this rebranding is that, like, in 2 months I will think that it should look completely different, and I will do it yet again, and all of you guys following me will be super confused. Like, what is she doing now? Maybe I'm just going to be the coach that sort of every 4 months. Yeah, and what is the other thing I'm doing? I'm working on two things. Yeah, it's writing and producing all my podcasts to the end of the summer, so I have all of those done. I can just say that that will never happen. I will definitely fail at that, but it's all good. It will be it'll be good. Okay, so what? Okay, so here. What if the feeling is too much for me? I get really embarrassed and shy when doing new things. I can't imagine asking people for $10. I would get so red in the face. Yeah, but I think that's amazing though, because what is the danger really? Your brain tells you that you get really embarrassed and shy when you do new things. Okay, so what's the problem? You get embarrassed and shy. Okay, and you would get red in the face. Your brain is trying to tell you that that's a problem. It's actually not a problem if you get embarrassed. So if you sort of look inward and you focus on the feeling of embarrassment, like, how does it actually feel? Because my guess is that you tell yourself a story about why embarrassment is bad. If you just focus on the fact that you feel embarrassed, and that's okay, I think that's one of the things that this exercise of asking like 5 people for $10, that's exactly the point with the exercise, that you can teach your brain that you won't die, you will feel embarrassed, that's okay. Okay, I see that I actually choose friends that don't push me to grow. It's almost failing ahead of time to meet new people. What if they don't like me, etc.? Yeah. What if they don't like you? Everybody will not like you, and that's okay. It's not a problem. But it's interesting that you choose friends that don't push you to grow. My question back is, do you want to grow? Because if you want to grow, okay, then you can push yourself. You don't need your friends to push you. You can for sure push yourself. But it's also a question of, do you want friends that push you? Because personally, I think it's quite fun when you have people that push you. I have a bestie down in Australia, and she's also a coach, and she pushes me quite a lot, I'd say. And I'm like, yes, so good. I didn't think about that. So exciting. But what did you write more? Yeah, it's almost failing ahead of time to meet new people. What if they don't like me? Yeah, so you mean like you don't put yourself out there to new people because you think they won't like you. And then what happens is that you don't give them a chance to like you. That's pretty mean. I mean, if you, and this, I do this so much with my women, like, if you are this magnificent person and you're focused on people that won't like you, you will lock yourself in and you won't be yourself fully. So when I meet you, I will meet like 50% of you or 40% of you, because you're afraid of what me and other people might think of you. And then we can't make up our minds about if we like you or not, because we haven't even met the true you. So I say this to everyone. Your job is to be you to 120%. Because then when you are you in your glorious self, then people can either love you or don't like you so much, and either is fine, because you are you and they have made a choice. And it doesn't say anything about you. You are still your glorious self. How do you handle with public failure? If I tell people that I will do something and then I don't make it, it might cost me my reputation and may even get me fired. Yeah, well, it's still a matter of how you want to think about it. It is still your choice to think about it as a public failure. Just because you didn't reach your goal of doing something, it doesn't mean anything about you. It means that you tried. It's like me and the horseback riding. I was in the pool with you. I was like, I can't, if I don't come top 3, it means that I'm a super bad horseback rider and everyone will laugh. But I never thought about the other people that came below me. I was just like, yeah, but that's natural. Somebody has to come in those places too, and that's fine. They will make it better next time. So it's all what you think about. And also, if someone else, I mean, you're watching this webinar and you might think, oh, she's really making a fool of herself, isn't she? Such a public failure. Oh my God, she should be so embarrassed. But if I don't choose to think that, I don't care, right? And the beautiful thing is that you can't control other people. So if you would fail, if you would say something or set up a goal, because you bring up that you might lose your job. If you set up a goal or you have a KPI at work and you do your best and you don't reach it, that is still up to your boss to decide if you're going to get the sack or not. And then you will have to control your mind and thinking about it, because you will not be able to control her or him. They will have an opinion. They could also have an opinion with you, like setting a super high goal, not reaching it quite, but like going all in and just go like, yes, well done, you didn't get there like all the way up, but you really set a high goal and pushed yourself. Well done. And you don't know how they will react or how they will interpret what you do, because we say this all the time, you're a neutral circumstance to them. They can choose to think about your performance in any way they want. They can think it's super good, and they can think that it's the worst ever. So do you I hope that answered your question, Anonymous. Do you have any more questions for me? Here we have different tabs. No, you don't, my dears. I get confused when the Q&A sort of little red sticker still says that I have things, but I think I answered all of the things now. So what's the time? 47, we're on time, so good. So let's wrap this baby up then, if you don't have more questions. So before I leave you, I really want to say thank you. It's been super nice to host you, as always. I love doing these webinars with you guys. And don't forget to pay it forward to someone. Decide how you're going to pay it forward. If you're going to tell someone about, I also have this, about the Life Coach University. And then you can give them this address. I know I've written, it didn't fit, lifecoachuniversity.com. And also go there and book yourself into Yure's and Norma's sessions tomorrow. There, what did I write? I had a note, 5 a.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. And there's so many other ones that you can go and check out. So many good coaches. So go there, choose what you think is good, and just marvel in all of my coach colleagues' talents, because they're so good. And if you want to get a hold of me, I do coach some international clients, and I coach women on reaching their visions. So I have a 5-step process. First of all, I will always teach you how to manage your mind, because that's the step number 1. And then I have 4 more steps that I take you through so you can reach and create your vision the way you want it. And my website is all in Swedish. So if you want to get a hold of me and don't speak Swedish, you go to annawallner.se and you scroll all the way down, and it says contact in the footer. And there you have my email address. And then you send me an email and we'll set up a Zoom and we'll talk to each other and see where you want to go. Where is your vision? What are you going to create? And then we'll see if you want my help with my 5-step process. So that's everything, my friends. And I will talk to the office at the Life Coach University and see when we're going to set up the next meeting. So until we see each other next time, there is no more Q&A. No, nothing. Good. So good. Love you so much. Take care. Go and create whatever you want and fail forward. Okay? Bye.